Stop fearing carbohydrates. The reason why you're struggling with your fat loss isn't because of carbs. It's how you're eating them. I'm gonna be breaking down carbs the right way so you can learn to eat them for your body type, to burn fat, build muscle, and stay healthy for the rest of your life. Sit back, buckle up, and let's enjoy this episode. Let's go. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the Pure Motivation Podcast Show. As always, I'm your host, Dimitri Giancoulis, and we're here today talking about carbohydrates. I want to address and break down the misconceptions about carbohydrates because a lot of people are afraid of them. And what ends up happening when you get rid of carbs? Your mood drops, your energy drops, your metabolism drops. You will lose some weight, most of it's water, but then you balloon back and forth and you constantly yo-yo up and down and you develop a poor relationship with carbohydrates in your lifestyle. Remember, carbohydrates influence men and women differently based on performance level, based on their body type, and based on the time they're gonna be eating them. So what happens when you eat too many carbs? Well, one, your body has to either take carbs and use them as fuel or store them as body fat. For example, let's say I turn around right now and I drink this Fanta, okay? This has got 44 grams of sugar. Well, it's gonna spike my blood sugar. Once I consume it, it's gonna go into my stomach. My brain's gonna regulate and say, hey, you got a lot of glucose in your bloodstream right now. Your body will produce insulin from the pancreas to try to protect you and control that blood glucose in your bloodstream. Your liver will actually take stored glycogen and dump it back into your bloodstream to provide you with energy so you can actually live. If you consume too much sugary drinks or eat any one of these foods, liver's gonna take some of it, body fat's gonna take some. So what does that mean? You're actually programming your body and your brain to get used to that cycle. The number one reason for non-alcoholic fatty liver with men around the world and women is excess glucose consumption. So now your body's actually learning this process and it's actually gonna work against you. Because when you wake up for breakfast, if you're not eating regularly or you're not exercising, it's gonna assume that every time you give it excess glucose, it wants to store it as fat. That's horrible and you don't wanna do that. Glucose, refined sugars, okay? All these bad ones that I got in front of me, the ease of access is one of the reasons why people are addicted to carbohydrates around the world. And they're so easy to consume. They're always packaged. They taste really good. So let's talk about insulin again. Insulin is a hormone that regulates blood sugar. Where does it come from? From your pancreas. So whenever you have a big meal full of carbohydrates, what happens after? You get tired. Well, why does that happen? Your body produces insulin, it picks up the glucose and it diverts it out to cells. That diversion in removal of glucose causes you to crash. And most of the refined sugary carbohydrates don't have fiber in them, don't have nutrients. So it's gonna ruin your energy and your appetite throughout the day. We got 2 cups of water. I filled them both up a quarter each. This is gonna represent the person that understands how to eat carbohydrates, that eats them based on body type, eats them based on performance and activity level, and understands that when you're eating carbs, there's different types of carbs. So this person is gonna consume 3/4 cups of water. And as you can see, they stop right there. Now, what about this guy? He doesn't care. Watch what happens. If this is our body, and this is our normal blood sugar regulation. And let's say the body goes, you know what? We're consuming carbs, but guess what? You had a little bit extra. What ends up happening? It's pouring over, okay? It's spilling over. That spillage right there is your body taking glucose and storing it as chicho. You gotta remember that every time you're eating, if you're storing more than you're consuming, it's gonna spill. And when it spills, it's gonna store as hardened body fat. At the end of the day, body fat is gonna store up in your heart. It's gonna build plaque and cholesterol, and you do not want that. So now that you know about blood sugar, let's talk about actual carbohydrates, okay? So we got 3 types of carbohydrates. Let's call them, first one is the garbage type, the bad type of carbohydrates, which are the refined and processed, okay? We're typically talking about white bread, pastas, sodas, chips, candy, sugar. Everything you see here is processed. They cause rapid blood sugar spikes. They're not healthy for you. They're highly addictive and easy to purchase. They trigger crashes with your metabolism and your appetite, and they're the worst ones to have. How do they affect fat loss? Well, they increase insulin sensitivity over time. And if you continuously eat foods like this, chances are you will become type 2 diabetic. And why? Because your pancreas is overworking and producing so much insulin to regulate all this garbage glucose that you're eating. So how can you avoid having refined sugars in your diet? You got kids, you probably want to have some fun once in a while. Make sure you eat them in moderation. Instead of having cookies, why not try something that's going to be healthy for you and sweet and still make you feel great? Grab some Greek yogurt, put some coconut in there, put some dark chocolate chunks in there, and have that as a snack. Number 2, we're talking starchy carbohydrates. These are the controlled carbs. These are ones like oatmeal, you got tortilla, even though they're multigrain, we got brown rice, we got pasta, we got crackers, we got white potatoes, sweet potatoes, we got oatmeal, we got some dark walnut, olive oil, rye bread. We got protein tortillas. These are all slow digesting carbs, okay? Now, nothing's wrong with these ones. The only problem is we eat too much of them. You're eating too much at the wrong time. And 3, you're not spacing it out over the day and you're clumping it up in big portions. Let's first talk about why they're beneficial, okay? Starchy carbs fuel muscles, especially pre and post workout. They're great for recovery and they're ideal for active days. Now, the different body types will have different amounts because we're not all built the same. And remember, if your goal is to burn body fat, you want to be eating foods that are not going to elicit or give you so much energy. Starchy carbs keep energy stable throughout the day because they slowly break down and they slowly release carbohydrates. So how do these foods affect fat loss? Well, they can be healthy and nutritious when properly timed, either midday or pre and post exercise. If you're gonna be training, you can easily sneak a carb beforehand and a carb after because your body's very sensitive. And the exercise portion will pick up that extra glucose and stuff it in the muscles. We don't wanna have them first thing in the morning. You don't wanna have a lot of them late at night. And what's that gonna do? It's gonna make you gain more weight. When you're looking at eating these carbohydrates, the easiest way, guys, to control whether you're eating too much or too little is go by the cup rule. Get yourself a measuring cup and tell yourself, I'm gonna have 1 cup serving, or I'm gonna have half cup serving, or fist, based on your size. I'm 195 pounds, I'm 5'10", so my fist is gonna be equal to 1 cup portion of carbs for me. Number 3, fibrous carbohydrates. These are the smart carbs. These are the best carbs. These are the ones that have the highest amount of fiber, and these are the ones that you should be eating on a regular basis. When you're making a meal, you should start thinking, I gotta have a carb. Should I have starch? No. Should I have refined? Definitely not. Should I have fibrous? Yes. Now, what do we got here? We got string beans, we got some beans, legumes, we got some red kidney beans, we got some chickpeas, we got cucumber, beautiful broccoli. Broccoli is actually higher in vitamin C than actual orange juice or oranges. You got carrots, amazing for the eyes, celery, you got some romaine lettuce. Your berry families, really, really great. It's super important to know that having fruit with skin on them are much better than having fruit without skin. We got tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. We have a mixture of salads. All these foods are high fiber, they're extremely low calorie, they're slow digestion, and they're great for fat loss and overall health. My grandmother's 101 years in Greece, and I always wondered why my grandparents are always eating rapini and broccoli and greens all the time. But if you're fueling your body with foods like this, that are gonna give you the macronutrients and the micronutrients that you need, you'll never have to worry about being overweight or fat loss again. Now, even though fruits contain sugars, they're natural sugars, the high fiber content is gonna slow down that spike of blood sugar. And instead of you needing to have something that's gonna be a refined sugar, which is gonna leave you crashing of energy, these won't do that, and they taste delicious. Now, you can't have fruits unlimited because they still contain glucose. It's a smaller amount of glucose and spike to the bloodstream compared to the starch ones. But vegetables, you can go nuts on, and every one of your meals should be high in vegetables, especially as the day begins to go later on in the evening and you notice that your metabolism is slowing down. Think of this. Would you drive your car if you had a flat tire? No. So why would you put foods in your mouth? And more importantly, why would you feed your kids the wrong foods if you know they're not healthy for you? Next, we're gonna be talking about your body type and how you should be eating carbohydrates based on fat loss or muscle gain, and for longevity. So let's talk about first the ectomorphic body type. We're talking about people who are leaner naturally, have a faster metabolism. Typically, ectomorphs can tolerate higher carbohydrate content. They should include both starchy and fibrous vegetables at all meals. Best timing for the ectomorph carbohydrates, all day, especially for breakfast, pre and post workout. They're not going to affect you, even if you're having a lot of starchy carbs. Your focus should be on bulk eating to maintain or grow your weight. I know the older I get, my metabolism is still running fast, my exercise frequency has not decreased, so I need to constantly consume carbohydrates, especially the starchy ones, all throughout the day. Here's a surprising fact: ectomorphs have a higher tolerance to insulin sensitivity, making them less prone to storing body fat, because they can break down carbohydrates much easier than the other body types. Next, we're talking the mesomorphic build. These are individuals that can gain and lose weight very quickly. So the mesomorphic need is a balance. You should be balancing off your starchy carbs and your fibrous carbs throughout the day. And when I mean fibrous carbs, I'm only talking about fruits, because as we spoke about, vegetables you can eat all day. Best timing for mesomorphic carbohydrates, and again, we're talking the starchy ones, I would suggest lunchtime and then pre and post workout. So a focus for the mesomorphic person is to track their carbohydrates throughout the day so they can actually see where they are, and use exercise as a catalyst if you want to consume more. Surprising fact, the mesomorphic body build can gain muscle very quickly, even if it's having a high diet just on fruits. So if you're a person that's trying to gain weight, or a person trying to lose weight and your body type is mesomorphic, and you're like, you know what? Dimitri said I can have as much fibrous fruits as I want. If you consume too much fruits throughout the day, based on calories, you will gain weight as well. Lastly, we're talking the endomorphic body type. This is the person that is heavier set build and a slow metabolism. This body type requires lower carbohydrates in general. You should focus on extremely high fibrous vegetables. Then you should look at a moderate amount of fruits, and you should limit your amount of starchy carbohydrates. If you're trying to burn body fat and you're dumping in extra fuel, you're never gonna get to that point, because all your body is doing is storing and then consuming, storing and consuming. Best timing for carbs for the endomorphic person, post-workout, number one. Whether it's morning or evening, if you're having a workout, especially with resistance training, your insulin sensitivity is very, very high. Whatever you consume, your body will take and say, hey, who wants this? The muscles will say, I do. They'll take onto it and they'll utilize it. Another area is midday or lunch. What you don't want to do is have starchy carbs first thing in the morning or last thing at night. The two of the worst times. Why? Let's think about it. You wake up in the morning, your blood sugar is low. Your body's not moved. Your body probably has excess glucose from last night's Nutella sandwich. So when you wake up in the morning, giving yourself any starch at all will automatically go to storage. Your focus point should be prioritizing flesh, veggies, and fat, which means some kind of protein at every meal, some kind of vegetable, and some kind of fat. That way, when you want to add the carb, you just drop it in when you need it. Surprising fact, research from a booklet called Just Your Body Type highlights that endomorphs have a lower carbohydrate tolerance due to the naturally lower insulin sensitivity, making carb timing crucial for success. And lastly, I'm going to teach you how to organize carbs in your daily meals for life. First things first, ask yourself, what is my goal? Am I trying to gain weight? Am I trying to lose weight? Try to determine or understand which body type you have. Time your starchy carbs around activity levels. So if you're training in the morning and you're an endomorphic male, go empty stomach for the workout. As soon as you're done, enjoy your carb, utilizing fat as an energy source and then providing yourself the fuel at the end of the workout. Use whole food sources if you can all the time. Stick to natural unprocessed carbs like quinoa, yams, oatmeal, instead of getting things in a package. Listen to your body and pay attention to your appetite. Are you eating because you're used to eating a bag of chips at nighttime? Are you having a plate and a half of pasta because you're used to doing that when you go to your mother's or your in-laws' house? Think of plate control, super simple. If you have a plate and you're an ectomorphic male, you're trying to build muscle and gain weight, half of your plate should be covered with starchy carbohydrates or a mixture of starch and fibrous. The other half should be proteins. If you're a mesomorphic person, you're trying to lose weight. Again, think of half your plate being vegetables. You can put a quarter of that part being some kind of starchy carbohydrate or a fibrous carb, and then proteins to the next side. And if you're an endomorphic person trying to lose weight, remember, half of your plate should constantly have vegetables. Why? You want to make sure you're fueling up with natural, dense food that's not gonna spike blood sugar. So in summary, today we talked about a lot of things. We talked about blood sugar dilemma, we talked about different types of carbs, we talked about how the body responds to carbs, and then we talked about how to put carbs in your plate. The one thing you should remember is this: even though I mentioned body types a lot, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, it doesn't mean it's the end and all. Remember, nothing is gonna beat science. Thermogenic effect of fat loss is always gonna be the same. You burn a certain amount of calories, you consume a certain amount, that's weight loss. If you burn calories and you consume, that's maintenance. And if you're burning and consuming more, you're gonna gain weight. The only difference about the body type is it's gonna help you make those right decisions. It's gonna stop you when you're at that party at nighttime and you see those foods coming around and you wanna jump into that bag of chips. You're gonna say to yourself, hold on a second. Coach D told me if this is my body type, I got a slow metabolism, I don't do well with carbohydrates, I'm not gonna have it. And most importantly, the reason why I stress to people to understand their body type is to understand that you need to move. Some body types don't need to move as much and they naturally burn at a higher rate. So if you're trying to lose 40, 50, 60 pounds, you gotta have exercise as your main ingredient. My name is Coach Dimitri. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. And if you have any friends or family that you think this can help, please do me a favor, share it with them. I'm sure they're gonna thank you. One more thing, leave me a comment. I wanna learn what you thought of the episode. I wanna learn what you want me to talk about. And most importantly, I wanna connect with you to help you as well. For all of those who live in the city of Vaughan, if you're interested in coming to our beautiful boutique fitness studio, Pure Motivation Fitness, just drop a comment and I'll get back to you. And for those who are interested in online coaching for men over 40, message me back and I'm here to help you. Remember, average is the enemy and attitude is everything. Take care and I'll see you in the next episode.